Hey guys, we're here today in Dragon's Dogma 2, talking about the quest A Beggar's Tale, and how to acquire and accomplish this quest with the desired outcome. I recommend before starting anything on this quest that you sleep in an inn room. That way, if you don't get the outcome you're looking for or something goes amiss, you can reload your last inn room save and try it over again. You can get a beggar's tale after speaking to Albert the Beggar, telling tales near the fountain in Burnworth, and as soon as you're done with the conversation with him, a nearby bistro Benton will speak to you about a beggar that he's heard is fairly well off and not that poor, so he came by to see exactly how this beggar is making his money, and so far is not too impressed with his tales. He asks you to look into it to see if you can't find out how Albert the Beggar is in fact making his money. If you are interested in doing this quest, as it's fully intended, it will require quite a bit of watching Albert and waiting, which we're going to go through, but if you're more interested in doing the quick way, then you can jump to the timestamp later in the video. If you've just recently slept in an inn and it is an early morning, it is possible that you'll come to the fountain and Albert will not be there telling tales, because for some reason he's stuck in one of his other locations, or sitting in a different spot in town. To fix this and get him to the fountain, simply go to a nearby bench and doze off until the next morning and you can continue from there, where Albert should now be sitting at the fountain telling tales. If you decide to watch Albert at this time, it will take about 20 minutes before he will move and head to his next location, so I recommend heading to a nearby bench and dozing off one time until it's about midday. If you watch Albert from this moment, it will take him about 5 minutes of storytelling to head off to his next destination. If you get too close to Albert as he's walking to his destinations, he will pause and get confused on why you are so close to him and following him around. Give him a little bit of distance, and you will follow him from the fountain in the merchant quarter all the way to the eastern side of the city to a tavern on the northern end of the slums, where he will greet his bistro wife and talk about how lucky he is and sit around for a drink. You can watch Albert at this tavern for 7 minutes before he moves on to his next location, where as it gets dark he will take off and say that Hilda is going to be upset with how late he's going to be. At this point you can follow him from the tavern on the northern end of the slums and loop back into the city into the common quarter, where he will finally arrive at a small house in the alleyway. If you are quick enough to keep up with Albert and run inside at the same time as him, it will fade to black and kick you back outside the house, so there's no point in chasing him closely. Once Albert has gone into his house in the common quarter, he will lock the door behind him, and you won't be able to enter. You'll have to wait for about 3 minutes until Albert has come out of the door, dressed now in noble clothing, and heading to a new destination. This time you'll follow Albert from his house in the common quarter to the south end of the city into the noble quarter, where he will eventually arrive at House Berkeley to his wife Hilda. So it's at this point that you can see that Albert is living a double life and married to 2 women who know nothing about each other. If you head back to the house that you followed Albert to in the common quarter, where he changed clothes, you can find his beggar's clothing in that house. Now the quick way to deal with this entire phase of the quest is after you've slept in an inn room, simply pass the time until it is night, and head to the house in the common quarter, where the door will be unlocked, and you can walk in and get his beggar's clothing right away. Once you have Albert's beggar's clothing, you will have 3 turn-in options to finish this quest. Option number 1 is to take the clothing to Selena, his bistro wife, in the slums, which will result in her being very upset and needing to talk to Albert. You have to give it a few days' time before you return, but when you return to Albert's house in the common quarter where you found the clothing, there will be a guard at the door informing you that it was a murder-suicide and she stabbed Albert in the back and then killed herself, and in this scenario you will be rewarded with 3,000 gold and a noon bloom flower, which must be petty change from their pockets, since there was no one in this situation that should have awarded you any money. Option number 2 is to take the clothing to Albert himself at House Berkeley, where he will pay you 5,000 gold to keep quiet about everything that you know, and let him continue on living his double life. Option number 3 is to take the clothing to Albert's wife Hilda at House Berkeley, where she says she will investigate to see if any of this is actually true, and to give her some time. If you give her a day and return, she will inform you that she tested to see if Albert was in fact living a double life, and once she informed him that she knew about what he was doing, he cleaned up his act, started going to work, and although she has no feelings for him or any care about him, he is at least taking care of his responsibilities. In this scenario, she will reward you with 3 onyx, which is a valuable rarely seen in Vermund, and if you sell it in Vermund, you can make 7,200 gold, making this the most lucrative option in terms of money. Interestingly enough, when I returned back to the tavern at the slums, where Selena is after having given Hilda the clothing, Selena started attacking me with slaps and beating me in the face, even though she has no reason to believe that I was involved in any way, until my main pawn took vengeance by killing her. I revived Selena with a wake stone and then had a conversation with her where she started wondering where Albert has been all this time. I'll just have to assume she was having a bad day, and it's not linked to the quest, until some others post in the comments that they've had similar results. Hopefully this guide was helpful to you, and helped you achieve the outcome you're looking for in A Beggar's Tale. Let me know down in the comments your experience with this quest, and what kind of outcomes you've chosen or had in your adventure. Thanks for watching, I will see you next time.